どうも、勝手に電力2.0で見始めたいと思います。今日1265回目というところで、この東南アジアの再エネって、どうやって考えていこうかというときに、このマッキンゼーとですね、シンガポール、経済企画庁みたいなところがですね、実際にいろいろこのレポートを考えているので、この辺で少し見ていこうかなと思ってますと。この Powering Progress in Southeast Asia's Renewables Development ということで、実際にこの再エネの、東南アジア目線での、どういうふうに開発をしていくのかというところで、South Asia needs to speed up renewable energy capacity additions to reach its ambiguous net zero goals. Tra- Trailblazing project developers have laid a path to success for investors ということで、加速していかないといけないので、当たり前の話で、日本でもまだまだ難しいということは、まだまだ進んでないのは、東南アジアというところはもっともっと進めていかないといけないと。The Southeast Asian countries are committed to decarbonizing their economy and reaching net zero in the coming decades. Between them, they aim to achieve net zero emissions between 2050 and 2060. 大体2050か2060のゼロカーボンですね。This transformation will, by necessity, include a strong deployment of renewables. However, the boldness of the these goals does not yet reflect in annual capacity additions. Economies in the region will have to drastically accelerate their renewable capacity to reach this goal on time. The region, therefore, is on the cusp of an important step change and significant efforts and bring out this transformation. Multiple factors such as regulatory support mechanisms, grid investment, innovative service offerings, or technology development could go a long way to unlock the acceleration of renewable energy capacity additions. Some countries in the region, such as Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand。やっぱりこの進んでいる国の順番なんですね。マレーシア、シンガポール、タイランドっていうところが引っ張っていく。やっぱり結構先進国に近いところっていうところに、できるだけ頑張ってもらうっていうことですね。Have recognized the challenge and the opportunity are proactively launching renewable focus support programs. Others, such as Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam, are driving important integrated planning efforts to help ensure that deploying renewables does not compromise affordability and security of supply. Beyond these critical factors, there are also unique dynamics at play in the current market landscape. Renewable developers that survey enough to understand these dynamic and learn from our movers that have already succeeded in the arena could seize untapped opportunities. In this article, we first highlight both the immense potential of renewable energy in Southeast Asia as well as various fundamental differences between its economies and others that are already further along the journey, such as those of the European Union and the United States. Solutions for the Southeast Asia economies could do well if they are locally tailored. Second, we will shine our light on some insights and lessons learned from the experiences of developers that have played a role in accelerating and expanding the use of renewable energy in the region so far. Against this backdrop, we conclude by describing how renewable energy developers in Southeast Asia can further apply these lessons so their strategies are adapted to unique local needs and so they can unlock opportunities and ultimately contribute to achieving the region's net zero aspirations. Now, finally, it is important to mention that there are other key matters such as safety in energy policies, grid investment, and regulatory or market mechanisms, which are all so critical to enable renewables to scale in Southeast Asia that are beyond the scope of this article but have been widely discussed in discourse on this topic. When Southeast Asia catches up, immense opportunities await. South Asia has significant renewable potential to the tune of 16 terawatts そうですね、16テラワットですね、of solar energy and 1 terawatt of wind. Yet, over the past 5 years, the region has attracted the second lowest level of investment in solar photovoltaic PV and wind power, second only to sub-Saharan Africa. This is largely due to policy uncertainty. なので、空力太陽光とまだまだ全然少ないということですね。Limiting the opportunity for new greenfield project and raising developers' risks, resulting in a higher cost of capital which negatively affects the competitiveness of renewable compared with fossil fuel-based power generation. To achieve net zero goals, annual renewable capacity addition must increase 7 to 12 times for solar and onshore wind power in the region versus the 2018 to 2021 average to about 36 gigawatt per annum for solar PV and around 12 gigawatt per annum for onshore wind for the period of 2030 to 2050. Comparing these numbers to the regional government's plans and targets by 2030, we expect most of this acceleration in renewable capacity addition to come post 2030. This long-dated transition poses a series of questions around the feasible of the acceleration in the next decade and overall achievement of power sector decarbonization. And to achieve net zero goals, annual renewable capacity addition must increase 7 to 12 times for solar and onshore wind power in the region versus the2018 to 2021 average ということで、すごいですね。7倍から12倍ということで、まだまだ全然足りないということですね。Comparing these numbers to the regional government's plans and targeted by 20, しかも2030年, we expect most of this acceleration in renewable capacity additions to come post 2030. で、実際にあとは Southeast Asia's resources offering great renewable opportunities ということで、やっぱりポテンシャル自体は、このオンショアですね、オンショアのウィンドと、オンショアソーラーっていうのと、オフショアのウィンドっていうことが、やっぱりこの変動のところ、まあ大きいですね。これインドネシア見てもらっても、このソーラーの大きさっていうのがめちゃくちゃ大きいのがあって、やっぱりタイ、ベトナムももちろん大きいですし、ミャンマーも大きい、カンボジアも結構大きいのがわかりますね、というところですと。The average yearly capacity additions of renewable technologies in Southeast Asia っていうところで、やっぱりソーラーっていうのが実は7倍ぐらいいくんじゃないかっていうところですね。実際に。で、このオンシェアもまだまだ12倍で伸びるんじゃないかっていうところ。ただ、この、まあ、容量だけで言うと、キャパシティだけで言うと、やっぱり太陽光っていうのはめちゃくちゃ入っていく要素あるよねっていうところが書いてあります。これギガワット、36ギガワットっていうところですからね。2030から2050で入っていくだろうってと。They are recognizing the untapped opportunities. Some Southeast Asian countries has already designed programs to support the development of renewables, while some countries in the region have developed targeted programs. See sections example of regional renewable aspiration and programs. These plans have not translated into capacity additions at scale. There are several reasons for this. First, Southeast Asian markets only recently started adding renewable capacity at scale. As a result, they significantly lag other regions' markets. Non-farm renewable energy penetration, which includes solar and wind power but excluded hydropower, was approximately 5% in 2022. This is similar to level achieved by European countries such as Germany, Portugal, and Spain in 23 to 26. Furthermore, Southeast Asian countries have historically capitalized on the coal and gas endowment to produce cheap power from subsidies fossil fuels, which subsidies amounting up to 2.7% of GDP in the market such as Indonesia, for example. As a result, the region has among the youngest coal-based power generation fleets in the world. Its power sector has nearly twice the emission intensity of the European Union and is 37% higher than that of the United States. Efforts to retire coal plants early in Southeast Asia are already underway, and initiatives to accelerate this transition are being introduced, but will take a considerable amount of time to take effect. Escalating Southeast Asia's annual newly installed renewable energy capacity by 7 to 12 times for solar and wind power to reach its net zero aspiration will require coordinated effort. This could involve, for example, policy changes such as establishing higher short-term targets, which have not yet been fully realized. Support mechanisms may also be needed, for instance, feed-in tariff fit まあ、フィットの話ですね。for new capacity additions. Lastly, industrialization of the whole renewable ecosystem from manufacturing to operation and maintenance services will be required to achieve scales. Southeast Asia countries have historically capitalized on their coal and gas endowments to produce cheap power from subsidies fossil fuel up to 2.7% of GDP in markets such as Indonesia. Southeast Asian power markets are structurally unique. Given structural differences, we believe the region is unlikely to follow a similar pathway to other markets, whereas general subsidy schemes、やっぱり市場の構造が違ってくるんですね。補助金だとか stable regulatory frameworks and ambiguous decarbonization agenda and private sector support drove the growth of the renewable sector in the European Union and North America. South Asia's context is significantly different, with higher sensitivity in relation to tariff levels, a tighter regulatory framework, constraint on consumer choices, and more limited private sector participation. ということで、プライベートセクターってところがまだまだ弱い、公共のセクターが強いってことですね。The one, low power tariff. Power tariff in Southeast Asia are among the lowest globally as the local governments focus on affordability and local industries competitiveness. Regional governments are trying to balance economic development, subsidizing fossil fuel and artificially lowering the cost of electricity generation. 実は結構インドネシアも含め電気代安かったですね。石炭由来でと。しかもそれに補助金が入っていると。With renewables development to meet decarbonization targets. We expect the renewable energy sector in Southeast Asia to grow exponentially, albeit on the different pathway from that of its counterparts in the European Union and the United States regarding different playbooks and strategies for private players. Two, tighter regulatory frameworks. The difference in Southeast Asia regulatory framework compared with other regions is reflected in power generation, which is still a large regulated activity. Most markets in Southeast Asia have vertically integrated incumbents with some degree of openness to independent power producers, IPPs, which rely on long-term contracts and capacity payments. In contrast, generation market in European operates in more liberalized and competitive whole markets, which allow for more rapid investment in new technologies and value pools to shift from conventional to renewable electricity generation. Should Southeast Asia countries express clear commitment and short-term targets, they could shift their energy mix while complying with existing contracts and avoiding building massive oversupply in the short to medium term. The consumer segment, retail, commercial, and industrial C&I, and the large customers also reflects the difference in regulatory frameworks. Some East Asia has strong long-term sustainability targets and may consumer will likely be willing to accelerate shift because of environmental consciousness or international commitments, such as the RE100 inch commitment by companies to switch to 100% renewable energy and the European Union carbon border adjustment mechanism. When Southeast Asian consumers are able to freely choose and procure green energy, they could bring additional momentum in terms of the demand shift or push for green supply. For example, while consumers in Vietnam can for now only procure power from EVN, the incumbent power company. The country has for years been discussing the introduction of the direct PPA framework that would allow C&I consumers to contract direct with renewable electricity generators. Three, level of privatization. Most of the initial growth in the renewable sector in the European Union and the United States was driven by private sector IPPs, often referred to as disruptors. In Southeast Asia, however, the market share and the concentration of publicly owned utilities is significantly higher. which ensures stability, but at the same time means that disruptors have yet to be able to shake up the sector and accelerate change. We expect the renewable energy sector in Southeast Asia to grow exponentially, albeit on a different pathway from that of its counterparts in the European Union and the United States, requiring different playbooks and strategies for private players. While no renewable energy player in Southeast Asia has yet developed at scale, there have been successes at the levels. And drawing on the experiences of these successful players, we observe vital practices that renewable developers in Southeast Asia could adopt to expand their regional renewable energy portfolio significantly, establish a strong local presence, having a presence in the region in imperative. This allows renewable developers to be familiar with the local ecosystem around the renewables value chain and to form connections with other companies and regulators to get a better understanding of the state of the renewable energy industry and gain access to potential opportunities. Successful renewable energy developers also understand that there is no one size fits all solution available across market in Southeast Asia. A local presence and a deep understanding of the different market are therefore crucial to tap into growth opportunities, building local teams, and developing and relying on local partners in crucial. For example, Scatec, our Norwegian renewable developer, opened its Vietnam office in 2017, well ahead of the boom in capacity addition in 2019 to 2020. That positions the country as a regional leader in renewables. Having a local presence allows Scatec to better understand both market nuance and its risk profile locally, and ultimately capture part of the renewable energy industry's growth as opposed to many other international renewable energy developers that had witnessed the developments from the sidelines. Other players such as Vena Energy have developed a hub and spoke model, centralizing some functions in their regional headquarters in Singapore and deploying local terms across markets in the region. Energy markets in Southeast Asia tend to move slowly until sudden regulatory change create attractive investment opportunities. Those that have a well-established local presence, be they local firms or international developers with a local presence, may manage to capture most of the value from these changes. In Vietnam, Sembcorp Industries signed a collaboration agreement in December 2021 to develop up to 1.5 gigawatt in renewable energy project with BCG Energy, a subsidiary of Bamboo Capital Group, a Vietnamese renewable real estate and infrastructure developer. While finding like-minded partners across border is a big challenge, the benefits of combining local insights with international best practice make it worth the effort. Similarly, ACWA Power, leading Saudi Arabian developer, investor, and operator of power generation, water desalination, and green hydrogen plants worldwide, signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with PT Perusahaan Listrik Negara PLN, Indonesia's state-owned electricity provider, to investigate potential joint development of hydro battery storage and clean hydrogen and ammonia project in Indonesia, shapes the regulatory environment. Renewable energy developers could explore enhancing their capabilities in regulatory engagement and management. This is particularly crucial because renewable energy projects largely operate in the regulated environment. For instance, they often rely on long-term off-take contracts with local utilities, where tariffs are set by regulators or by the competitive progress determined by regulators. Renewable energy developers should be able to engage with regulators to shape stable regulatory framework that enable investment and renewable projects. As explained above, the region unique conditions call for unique solutions. It is up to renewable energy developers to shape these solutions with regulators from different markets. One example of regulatory engagement requirement to shape opportunities for the growth of the renewables sector is in close country interconnections and renewable imports and exports. For example, Sun Cable in an Australia venture proposing to export up to 20 gigawatts of renewable power from Australia to Indonesia and Singapore will require massive efforts to engage regulators across the three markets and get their blessing. Among other challenges the venture faces, and the project has clear benefits from the sustainability perspective and should help address the region's concerns over energy affordability and security of supply. That's all.